Hey guys, welcome to the daily analysis for Thursday, January 10th. It's a little after 3:30 Eastern time here, and so our bars are a little less than an hour from closing for my time frame, or for my platform, I should say. Yesterday I talked about how the market moved slowly. There was not a lot of stuff going on, but today, obviously, that is not the case. Euro exploding, a lot of weakness in the U.S. dollar, and several other things going on. So definitely a lot to cover. I think it's going to be great. I think there's some legitimate setups that we can look to take advantage of, and I think you're really going to enjoy the analysis. I do want to make another plug for the signals waiting list for anyone who's interested in taking advantage of our signal service. It's something we've been working on for a long time, and I think it's really going to be good. So if you're looking for a signal service, you want to trade, but you want some signals to help you, take advantage of that. If you don't want that, if you have your own system, don't waste your time. But for those of you looking for help on the entry, our signal service that we're releasing soon is going to be really good. So I just want to make sure that I mention that, so that and don't miss it. Okay, let's check our news and then jump back into the technical analysis here. Alright guys, and the news is pretty light for tomorrow, unlike today where we had a lot of news, a lot of movement, and definitely some exciting stuff. Tomorrow, there's the 4:30 a.m. Pound news, and that is one that I'm definitely going to watch because there's some certain pound trades that could be in play based on what I'm looking at. So that's going to be a really important announcement to me. And then later on, of course, the 8:30 a.m. news that kicks in with trade balance for both Canadian and U.S. dollar is also the important red tag for New York session. Okay, so the Swiss news at 3:15, which you guys can see there, probably won't apply to me personally, but obviously it's red tag in the middle of the London session and can certainly move the market for the Swiss pairs. Alright, that's our news. Let's go ahead and cover our terms and we'll get back to our charts. Alright guys, and the terms are basically just there to say that we're not registered or licensed by any securities authority or anything like that to provide investment advice. This is not an investment service to tell you how to risk your money. It's just an analysis service to give you our opinion of the market. Okay, the United States government is very strict about what we can and cannot do with it, so we just want you to understand that very clearly. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and read through that if you need to. I'm going to go ahead and get back into our charts. Alright, so the first thing I have up here is the USD CAD, and you can see it's finally making some ground. This is the area we've been talking about, and actually looking to break lower through this little upward support area. So an encouraging sign from the USD CAD. Not enough yet for me to jump into an entry, but a positive sign that we're going to get some movement here. More continuation of this move, in my opinion, would lead to a great entry. Targeting back at the bottom here, which I think could be a very legitimate entry. Toward the 96.30 area. So that's something I'll be anticipating. The USD CAD has been holding up this base since the middle of September, really, where it broke up here, started this reversal. So this is actually a pretty legitimate move all up in here in these price ranges. So a break back to the downside, to me, has some pretty nice validity. All I would need here is some momentum, and then I'd be willing to take this as a good short entry with some decent profit potential back down again toward that 96.30 area. So that's the USD CAD, definitely one that I'm tracking. Alright, now we'll jump into the exciting pairs, which are, of course, the euro and the pound crosses that were insane today. The base on the support, the base on the euro here that is being built just served as a launching pad. You can see. Let me give you a measurement here on the daily bar. It's pretty amazing. Let's see, about 30 up there, about 220 pips on today's euro dollar bar. So obviously a massive move, which is kind of upsetting because that means there's not a lot of room to take it now. For those of you like me who wanted to get a close right above this level and then looking for a small retest and continuation, you're a little upset because now there's a lot less profit potential. So if I take an entry here and my stop loss is all the way down here, I don't have enough profit potential in the trade anymore. So it almost moved too much for me to now look for an entry, which is a little bit upsetting. But nonetheless, a massive move on the euro dollar, respecting this upward channel that we talked about. Not surprising that it bounced, but certainly surprising that it bounced that much. And we'll see if it can go ahead and continue up. Now we have a little bit of resistance, a little bit of top resistance near 3260 is about where this is at. So we'll see if it can continue, break through, and retest the top of our channel here, which will be interesting to to see how much momentum is left in this euro after today's move. Now the pound, similar situation with a very large push bar here. Definitely showing some serious momentum. Now the pound looks like it has a little more room to go. You can see that this is really the main resistance area that I would be targeting on an entry, and we got a nice support level for the pound, obviously. So it's launching pretty nicely. Again, if you're taking this trade, you're probably going to have a very wide stop loss, and it's about a 1-to-1 or maybe even less. So not the best profit potential trade either. Even though it has a little more room than the euro. So this is kind of a discretionary one, but still a great launch from this trend line, and obviously eclipsing the recent little move here with a new high, and really a really strong move. Let me go ahead and give you a pip count just to compare to the euro. You can see about 140 pips compared to the euro's 220 pips. So euro obviously still the king there, and I'll show you the euro pound to give you an example of that, but definitely a nice move on the pound. So you can see how much ground the euro gained against the pound. Pretty strong move today, showing you that the euro is still definitely stronger. We're in long here, about the close of this bar from this red pin bar off the trend line. Is where we got in long. So we're up pretty nicely. Our target is right at this previous top, so we got pretty close to the target today. Hopefully we'll bump into that tomorrow and be able to take our profit. But definitely looking towards strong continuation. Now, one thing that's a little concerning if you're long on the euro pound like we are, is that the euro is running into a little bit of resistance while the pound is not. So that means that the euro could bounce, get a little weaker, and the pound could stay strong, which could push this potentially back down. So that's something I'll have a very close eye on this euro pound. But right now, it doesn't look like there's any major resistance that should keep it on the euro pound from here. You can see that it's broken through our recent highs and looks to be heading up, certainly toward our new high. Hopefully we'll get there without a lot of pullback and consolidation on the euro pound. Obviously we'd like it just to throw itself right into there and close us out. All right, guys. Next is the euro yen. Obviously, the sharp movement up, and today a very, very large bar. I mean, look at this thing; it is full of color. Every pip was moved up. If you were watching my analysis before, I was saying, I'm going to wait for a little more consolidation here and then try to take the breakout. If you were waiting with me, you were caught a little off guard today by the massive bar that shot out of the top. So obviously, did not move in the way that I was kind of anticipating and hoping for. Not that I was short or anything and got crushed, but I was hoping a little more consolidation and then a breakout lower on in this wedge. That did not happen. Just a huge bar shooting out from the top and showing a lot of continuation on this euro yen. Unfortunately, it didn't tighten up as much as I want, so I'm not as confident in the trade. Simply what I mean by that is, when pairs tighten up more, the breakout has a little more validity than if it just breaks out of the top without that tightening up motion. So I'm not saying that this euro yen can't shoot up. I think it certainly can, but what you have to be careful for is, okay, it didn't tighten up all the way, so it could come back and retest all the way back to here before going higher, and things like that. So because of that, I'm not jumping in long on the euro yen, although I think there is still definitely bullish potential to be had. 20 seems like a level that it could take out in a blink of an eye at this point. So we'll see how true that holds up. All right, guys. Next we have the U.S. yen. Obviously, yesterday I talked about this setup here, looking like it was definitely going to continue at least to our new high, which is one that looks like I called pretty correctly. It's moving right up back into the 88.30 area. And so obviously now the question is, are we going to break and go much higher? It looks like the momentum is there to do it. If you're waiting for the break, I would look always for the breaks, retest and continuation. With a pair that's moving this much, you might only get this on a smaller time frame. You might not see the daily develop that slowly, which is something you have to look out for. If you get a break of the hourly, a strong retest of the hourly, and a continuation, you might be willing to take it on the hourly just so you don't miss it. So that's definitely one thing that I want to call your attention to. But as far as those of you who went long on this setup, you should be in pretty good shape as far as profit right now. The one thing that you have to look out for is, because we're right back at this level, it could come all the way back and retest some other levels, which is one thing that you want to be on the lookout for. For me, it's a little bit tricky of a situation. One thing I might consider doing, and this is just my personal way of trading, is if I were to take a long here, I might actually take profit here look for it to break and show continuation and then get long again. That way, if this happens to be a really unlucky situation where it double tests and shoots all the way back down, I don't lose any money. I still get my profit. And on the other hand, if it actually continues, retesting continues, I still get all the profit of the continuation. So that's one thing to think about. It obviously depends on your own trading strategy, but that's always something that I look out for when you're looking at those major levels. Alright guys, next we have the AUD US dollar, and finally another one like the USD CAD that we were waiting and waiting and waiting, and it made its move. It makes me very glad that I got out of my short position right here instead of holding it until it took out my stop loss here. So, sometimes I'm lucky, sometimes I'm good. This is one that was more about luck. But anyway, it's moving up with a lot of momentum at this point. Is right through the top here. I drew that line a little high. Let me redraw that. Right through the top here. So this is another one that could very potentially be a continuation, retest, and then a stronger continuation. For me, one of the big levels that I'm looking at is all the way up here at like 84. So that is a potential target for me. What I'm waiting here is just for these two levels, this one and this one. Once it were to break these two levels, slow down, give me a place to hide my stop and continue, I'd be looking to take the odd dollar long. So that's another one where you might want to follow me on Twitter if you're waiting to see where I get in on the odd. I do anticipating taking an odd dollar long, but I'm just waiting for a few levels, and then what I like is for a base to build to hide my stop. So if it goes straight up, I won't take it. Wow, excuse me. If it goes straight up, I won't take it because I have no place to hide my stop. I don't want to put my stop all the way down here. What I want is for it to go up, consolidate, test, and then continue. That way I can take it as it continues and hide my stop right under the consolidation level and look to take the profit at my 84 area. So that's how I'm gonna look to take advantage of the odd, and I'll try to let you guys know when I get into that. If I do, of course, if it reverses, then I won't get into it. But if it continues to break those levels, I'll let you know. Alright guys, and another pair I want to cover is the Euro odd, and this is one where I actually took a long on this tail bar, this little pin. You can see that this pin tested through and closes a full pin bar. I was really excited about this entry. I actually took it long and got crushed on the following bars. Looks to be a fake out as it's now resetting up. Unfortunately, it's not sitting right on the trend line anymore, so I don't qualify that as a great long entry. It's not sitting on the trend line, and it did not close above this resistance. So, although I think the Euro odd has a lot of potential to move up again, make new highs, or at least come back towards like this downward wedge form, I'm not classifying it as a personal long entry because of the fact that it's not sitting on support technically at this point, and it's also not closed above these levels. But the Euro odd is definitely one I would look just for information's sake to see if it does go ahead and start climbing back toward these higher highs, because that's one that I'm always interested in. The Euro odd tends to move really good when it gets going, so you don't want to miss it. Okay, that's the Euro odd. I'm going to cover one more here, which is the pound New Zealand. Alright, I'll start very zoomed out so you can see all the points here that I'm talking about this trend line. This one not quite, but pretty close, and then we're sitting on it now. Let me zoom in now a little bit. Okay, over here is a point where it didn't quite touch. Here, great touch and a full bounce. Here, broke all the way through, but are now looking to sit right above it. So this is a trade, as far as pound, that I would really like, depending on how it closes. If it closes a little more full, I think a long position for me personally, with a stop loss down here and a target near the bottom of these tails, I think that's a pretty high quality setup. But again, it just really depends on how this daily bar closes. I would like to see it fill with color a little more, but I do like the potential of the pound New Zealand, especially because the pound is showing so much strength against the dollar and looking pretty stable across the board. So this is one I'm watching like a hawk, and definitely interested in taking. Again, with the target would be at the bottom of this channel, so that I would expect to bounce at least into that resistance area, which is again about 94.20. So that's something I'm looking at to let you guys know. I think that could definitely be a potential setup, again, just depending on how that closes. Alright, so that's my daily analysis, guys. I sure hope it was helpful for you. And as always, I really appreciate when you retweet it and share it on Facebook. Any comments are greatly appreciated. If you're taking any of the trades that I talked about, I'd love for you to share those, or if you have been taking any of the ones that we talked about in the past. I know a few of you have mentioned that you took some of the setups we're talking about and did pretty well on them. So I love to hear that feedback. Make sure that you leave that. And then my last little plug for the Signal service, again, don't forget that if you're interested in that, you got to fill out that waiting list form, which I'll link to below. Okay, thanks again, guys, and I will talk to you soon.